Welcome back to Sonic Weekly. This is episode 2. Thank you to everybody who joined in and watched last week's. I really appreciate it. It's a new format for us and we're going to keep going with it and see where it ends. This week we are looking at some fault finding at an old B&B/hotel. We are doing some flood damage repairs at a property we looked at a while ago. So we've got a load of circuit accessories to change out. We've got a new consumer unit, replacement consumer unit going in, and a heating system that has totally been drenched and needs swapping out. That's a little bit different, so we can look at that. We're also going to be at Redline Sports cars, carrying on the programme of works we've got there. And this week, I'm going to try and get Matthew to do behind the scenes of his weekly exercise of work. Now, I've asked him to go off and film some bits and pieces. I'm not sure how that's going to turn up because he is not always 100% behind our YouTube activities. But I thought it might resonate with people who are following along a little bit more because he's fresh out of his time and he generally has Nathan with him day to day. Nathan's not been on the videos the last week or two because he's been in Tenerife, so he may reappear through the course of this week's videos. I think he's back on Wednesday, probably sunburned and hungover, but he'll be here all the same. With that said, let's get on with it. It's Monday now, let's see what the team's up to. So my first job on Monday morning is to dig through some of the messages coming in through Apprentice 1-to-1. And again, I mentioned this on last week's video, it's a big part of my weekly routine now to keep on top of people asking for support. You know, there's a lot of people who are struggling with their training, so they're trying to find site-based work experience, or they're not getting the support they need from their college or training provider. And often they'll come and vent through Apprentice 1-to-1 and we try and help as best we can. Also employers offering job roles. I've made a little list actually. Last week we had 37 job roles come in through Apprentice 1-to-1. This is direct with employers in my social media network, just saying they're looking for electrical apprentices or people who are partway through the training to come into their companies and finish off. And we managed to get 28 people into positions just last week. It's way over 2,000 now in total. It's absolutely incredible when you think about it, from sitting out in the sun back in 2020 in my garden wondering what the hell I'm going to do through lockdown to where it is now. It's crazy. And yeah, just catching up with the DMs on the Apprentices 1-to-1's Instagram page. There's the Facebook group as well. It's slowly building. I think we're up to 70 to 80 people in there now, so not massive, but it's been going only a week and I have 0 following on Facebook, so it's nice to see that people are getting involved. If you've not done that as yet, I'll drop a link in the description to this video. Get involved in the discussion. You never know who you could be helping just by liking and sharing a post. But yeah, that's me now. I'm going to get stuck into that. I'll get the post put together and shared out into the group of people looking for work and see if we can get some more people placed through the course of this week. Matthew should be at Redline. He should be recording some stuff. As I'm sat here now, I have absolutely no idea if he is. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he did, and it will cut in right after this. Morning, it's Tuesday and I'm in the sunny seaside town of Bridlington. So this is on the East Yorkshire coast for anyone who's not familiar, and it is very sunny today, which is nice. We may get onto the beach instead of doing some work. But we're here to do some fault finding. There's a customer who's lost power to their lights. We won't be able to film in their house because they've got kids and dogs running around and it's not something we like doing, but that's what we're doing. So I've got Matthew with me as well. Maybe have a chat with him in a bit. RCBO's tripped, probably some outside lights. We'll go find out and then we'll maybe grab a coffee on the beach and have a little chat. I'll just show you where you can see here. It's a glorious sunny morning in Bridlington. Very nice. We'll go and have a little wander around. Okay, so as expected, I couldn't really film much inside that job. As I said, it was an occupied property, lots of people knocking around, and I don't like filming when there's kids and stuff in the background, so we've not done that, but it was what I thought. Outside lights, full of water, and that's what caused the RCBO to operate. So sometimes homeowners especially think they've got some major massive issue because a protective device is operating and it's to do with an issue in the wiring or in their fuse box or whatever. But 80-90% of the time, it's usually something connected to the end of a circuit. So a light fitting that's outside, or something that's plugged in, a faulty washing machine or whatever. And these things do not nuisance trip, well, unless they're faulty themselves. They trip because they've detected a problem, and it's to keep people safe. That's something I always have to try and explain to people. You know, it's not doing it to annoy you, it's doing it to stop you getting a nasty electric shock or have a fire at home. And it was great to see that it had worked. Our CBO picked up the fault, turned the power off. Brilliant. Anyway, Matthew's now gone off to do something else. He is busy in another place, so he's gone off in his van. I am going out doing a survey, so I've got an EV survey for a customer in Nafferton. So for those who are familiar with the area, I'm going to go off and see them. If I can get some footage, I will do. I've just stopped for some lunch. As you can see, there's a nice little river down behind me, so a beautiful part of the world to pull in again. I've been spoilt today, down to the beach, and now out at the side of a nice little country stream. Anyway, I'm going to have my dinner, and I'll show you how this survey went. I thought I'd show you the little place where I've stopped. So it's near Bradshaw's, for those of you who are familiar with Driffield, and nice little sandwich. Come to see if I could see any trout in the stream. It's normally teeming with them in here. I think they're all down the other end, getting fed. There's the ducks out there, being fed by passers-by, and the trout are normally swimming around getting fattened up as well. But yeah, lovely little place. See a little family of ducks down there as well. But let's get back to work. So that was a really interesting survey. I couldn't film because, again, don't know the customer. It's a bit weird turning up to a client's house. Do you mind if I record all this? But yeah, quite a big property. I'll pop a little picture somewhere up here, test my editing skills, of the frontage of the house. And I was very surprised at the supply intake on this one. It only had an 80 amp service head, and obviously, as you can see, pretty big place. I was expecting it would have more. So that was one of the concerns straight away. They have quite a bit of electrical load already on that system. And he was talking about possibly having 2 car charge points, because there's an annex as well that's getting built, or a garage and an annex, a games room, and some other bits and pieces. So there was quite a bit of other building work planned. They also want a solar system, which was interesting. So I got to have a little scope out of that as well, with battery storage. And again, I can show you a little bit of the garden there, but there's 22 acres on this one. It's a big old place. So we're going to price up a ground mount solar system. So that was nice. And yeah, I can do most of the pricing straight off the iPad. So using ServiceMate, I'm going to sit and do that now. Get that sorted out, and then we can get on with the rest of the day. While I remember, actually, there's I had an email today from the apprenticeship. Let me just read it. It was a pretty interesting one. If I can find it in here, should be able to. He says, but it was about apprenticeships and how you can review your training providers. So it's from the apprenticeship services, and yeah, you can give feedback as an apprentice. So if you've been in training for 3 months, you can go on this website and give feedback on your experience on the trainers. And as employers, we can actually log in, go through the process of selecting our particular industry, and see the feedback some of these colleges have been getting. And I've had a little play with this today, and it was quite revealing. Some of the training centres and training organisations who I interact with on social media, to see the results they've been getting. You know, I was quite surprised seeing 50% success rate. And if you look at the statistics as well, that's 50% success rate on the people making it to the end point, so the end of the course, not the total volume of people starting out. So these is like 50% of people who start in year 3 or whatever before the college spit them out to do their MPQ portfolio. Not 50% of the first ones who walk through the door in year 1. And that's the true metric of success, I think. We're talking about apprenticeships. But anyway, starting to ramble about that. That's Tuesday about done. I'm going to get that written up on ServiceMate, send the customer their quote. I'll have to have a look at the solar system and spec that out. As with everybody else, that's very, very new on me. So I'm going to probably bug Stuart Cater right now and see if he's got any pearls of wisdom. See you all on Wednesday, where we have some more excitement from Matthew. So it's Tuesday evening now. I'm just getting ready to record the podcast with Jamie and Craig. I'm a little bit early tonight. It's about 6 o'clock. That guy who I visited and showed you the little pictures of just a minute ago, I've already had a message back from them to accept that quotation for the EV charge point. They've gone for a Zappi, and we've had a cancellation this week as well. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, materials and the customer's schedule been okay. We could be back there later this week to actually install one. That would be a right turnaround. But yeah, let's see how that comes together. I'll record a little clip of the guys coming onto camera as well in a minute, just to show you some of the off-screen chattering we do on the Apprentice 1-to-1 podcast. Good evening, Jamie. Can't hear you, can't see you. All right, now how are you?
I will be better when this works.
Am I a bit loud?
No, it's my speaker, mate.
Oh, okay.
I've been doing something else with it. That's why I'm struggling.
Just turn this light down a bit. That's a good sign. How are you, James? You all right?
Oh, living the dream.
Yeah. You've been back home from work long?
Yeah, well, because I've got ascot on Friday, I've been trying to look for my suit.
Hey! Nice of you to join us.
Better late than never. How was the pub?
Pub was banging. All two pints and that's been done.
Well, you've missed it. Okay, so it's Wednesday now. I'm just sorting out the back of my van a little bit. I'm trying to get these tidied up because they're going back at start of September, I think, end of September. We're swapping over to some electric and new diesel vehicles. So yeah, it's always one of those, if you've leased a vehicle, trying to get rid of the scratches on the outside and some of the dings and marks so you're not paying any of those excess charges when they go back. So we're just having a look around them, making sure they're in order. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a change in how we do things because we are, like I say, swapping some electric vehicles in. So they're going to be managing the range and then all the worries about charging them up when you've gone out on jobs. So we'll see how all that plays out when they come. But yeah, it's exciting as well. And yeah, I'm going to get on with this now. Need to get the thing sorted out a little bit in the back because we've got a full load out ready for tomorrow, where we are, what are we doing? We're swapping the consumer unit, so it's the flood damaged property. We've got a consumer unit swap out. We've got a heating system control panel to change in. It's an interesting one actually. It's not your typical wiring centre, so we can show you that, and a few circuit accessories. And then on Friday, fingers crossed, if the materials turn up, we're going to go and install the Zappi at that job. Earlier on this week, I went out and quoted because we've had the welds align, if you like, where we've had a cancellation as well for Friday. We can put one of the teams on there. I'm going to go and film bits of it myself, and we'll show you that one as well. Catch up with you in a bit.
We've got a job changing a few smoke alarms and a heat detector. So one of the Milwaukee crates, and just put everything you need in it, and then don't have to come back out to the van. Fingers crossed.
And as promised, we're doing something a little bit different on this one. This is a bit of a refurb of an extension. I'm going to make a separate video of this again, but I'll just give you a quick run what we're actually doing. It's an old outhouse. You can see it needs a bit of titillation. The minute it was just kind of used as storage, not really an awful lot other than that. So they want to make it more habitable and usable during winter and summer. So we're lighting and boarding. These are external walls along this edge here. Same off these ones as well. So we're latting those and we're going to put some insulation in, board it. I'll show you all that on the video as it goes and explain more about that in detail. It's a concrete ceiling, so we're going to hang a suspended ceiling underneath that. It's not the thickest, so we don't really want to be drilling into it. We're just going to leave that as is without disturbing it. On the floor again, we're going to insulate this and put damp-proof membrane down, so we're preventing any damp rising into what we're doing. This has already been raised in here, if you can see, but we're going to strip that out as well. But yeah, just a bit of an interesting one. Obviously we've got all the electrics as well to get sorted. They weren't done in the best way. You can see the old conduit system built into the concrete that Matthew's just pulling out there. But yeah, it wasn't wired in the best way. This was actually acting as a neutral, this outer metal containment. So it's a bit like the stuff Mr. Bundy likes to use, but from a time gone by. And yeah, that was carrying the neutral. So that's coming out, and then we're going to put obviously new lights, new sockets, all the rest of that jazz in. But for the minute, just thought I'd show you what we're up to on Tuesday. Okay, so you can see we've turned this one around super quick. Back on this job that you saw me quoting and surveying earlier, it's just over here, popping the cleats on for the cable running out to the charge point. We have got our main incoming supply here, which is 80 amps. Spoke to the DNO and we're going to use load limiting for now, and that's going to get upgraded. And we've got our new board down here, which we've made slightly bigger than usual because there's plans, as I said, to extend this garage and add some extra circuits, so we've incorporated that into this job. Got our SPD and also the MCB and RCBO, and we're ready to drop this feed in for our charge point. Matthew's just outside. I'll zoom around and see him. See, he's just getting the Zappi set to the wall. We've gone for rear entry and the weather seal gland, so that's all good. That's going to get done on there. So we was going to make a video of this in its own right, but I've done enough Zappis recently, so we're just going to cover it on this weekly one. I'll jump back on and show you how this one all closes up. Let's get on with it. Matthew, just come and pop this behind this board. I can't quite reach and it'll say getting steps. There's a bit of timber across the top, I couldn't quite get it down. Nicely straighten that in a minute too. So you can see we've made progress. We've got this board all dressed away. We've got our main earth coming down there, we've got our tails coming in. We've gone for a surge protection SPD on this one. You can fit those in all kinds of consumer units and distribution boards. Well worth checking out. And then we've got the Lewden RCBO for our EV charge point. Lots of spare capacity in here. We're just missing a few blanks, so we're going to have to get some of those. See, we've got the tails going up into this Henley block. We're just waiting on an isolation now, so we can break into this set of tails and pop everything into the Henley. Harvey's set up there ready. Our cable all glanded in. All good there. You can see over the other side. If I zoom in, we've got our cable on the wall, just having a little tidy up. And yeah, I shall jump back on once we've got it all together and the power on and run through it working. So you can see the arrangement there for the equipment. We've got our distribution board now. As I said, we're just waiting for the right blanks on that, but they're in and working. We've got our SPD main switch and the EV charge point on the RCBO. Henley block, where we split the tails going into the subboard off to the house, and the meter. Meter man's been all sealed up. That's all done, and we'll go and have a look at the Zappi and get that set up and paired with a Harvey. Keep it held down. 1, 2. Keep it held a bit longer. That's it, now let go. Should be flashing blue. That's it. So now we're in pairing mode. We can go off and connect that to the Zappi. Should be as easy as that if Matthew's already on here to find the Harvey. On the Harvey, config, CT1, set that to none. Put it on 1, didn't you? So you can see the Zappi's all powered now, connected to the internet. We're just getting the customer set up with the app. Nathan's waiting to eat his dinner. Everything's all sorted in here now. You can see we're all tucked away in that corner. Cable run down there. Nice straightforward one. And yeah, that's today done. Let's move on with the rest of the week. I'll catch up with you in a little bit. So it's Sunday and I've just got in the van. I'm driving off to go and do some work early on Monday. It's a long way away, over in Cardiff. Some of the things you have to do as a small business, but I'll explain more about that in the next clip of this video. But I've just been catching up on some of the messages through Apprentice 121 before I set off. There's a lot of job roles coming in, which is really nice. The Facebook group's building up. As I've said, I've got no connections over on Facebook whatsoever to try and share this around and gain some interest. We've also already got I think it's around 300 people in there now probably, which is really nice, and we found a couple of job roles as well through that. You know, that's one of the things where Apprentice 1-to-1 is a little bit different to some of the other initiatives you might see on social media. There's lots of people asking for help, saying they want an apprenticeship position, but there's not an awful lot of job roles and people coming forward. It's really difficult to find those. And yeah, the secret sauce, if you like, that I bring to that equation is my network on LinkedIn, and the fact most people now realise that if they are advertising for an electrical apprenticeship, to get in touch with Apprentice 1-to-1, because we've got thousands of people who are desperately trying to find work as electrical apprentices. Anyway, I've got about 5 hours drive now, I would say, with stopping and messing about, so I'm going to get on with it. It's absolutely roasting, get the shades on, get the music on, catch up with you in a little bit. Hello, so it's Sunday and I am off away working in a hotel. This isn't my bedroom, I'll prove it in a minute. So I've had to travel off away. It's Father's Day, as anybody who is a dad or has a dad will realise. And yeah, it's one of those when you're running a small business and you're travelling off away to try and keep the cogs of things moving. Sometimes you've just got to do it. You've got to suck it up and get on with it. This is one of those occasions. So yeah, that's me now. I'm here to do an emergency light inspection. I'm actually staying in the hotel where I'm working. I won't be able to film anything for pretty obvious reasons. You know, so working hotel with guests and staff, getting permission for all of that kind of stuff is a hassle I don't need. If I can, I'll maybe get a bit of footage inside one of the linen rooms, if there's one that's empty, to show you some emergency light isolators or the distribution boards, but all very boring. Yeah, it's been an interesting week for those of you who followed. We've had the Zappi go in, and that was from a quick turnaround, doing a quote, then getting onto the job. We've had flood damage repairs. We've had Matthew getting a few bits of footage as well. Spoken about the electric vans. I'm really enjoying making this content. I don't know if it's something that the audience are enjoying, but it's a record of my life, if you like, even if we're going to do it for 5 or 6 weeks. For me to look back on at some point in the future and remember some of the stuff I was doing. Yeah, that's primarily what this is all about. I thought it might be interesting to apprentices following me to see what being an electrician looks like, but also from a selfish point of view, for me to look back on and see some of the stuff I've been doing. Out on the world of social media, there's been lots going on, so we've had loads of job roles with Apprentice 1-to-1, absolutely tons this last week. It's amazing. I am really chuffed with that. It's a good sign that there is still employment taking place out there and people are finding work. And also thinking of Apprentice 1-to-1 when they're offering those roles out. That's always really nice when people come to me first to put those roles out to the people who are following and who have struggled to find employment. It shows the human kindness within the electrical industry, and it makes me very aware that sometimes the pool of poison that drags me down, and it is a small pool of people who constantly criticise some of the industry bodies or issues that they see around the JIB or the ECA and all of these other kind of things. It puts it all into insignificance because those people and those opinions are in the tiny, tiny minority, and they don't reflect or represent the truth of what is going on out there. So kudos to everybody who's following Apprentice 1-to-1 and getting involved in helping with that. It means everything to me and those other people in that community. And on that note, until the next week of Power Sonic Weekly, or whatever we're going to call this as it moves on, I will see you then. I almost forgot, I didn't show you to prove that I wasn't sat in my bedroom. If you look out into the distance there, for those of you who are familiar with Cardiff, you can see that is indeed where I am. This is John Lewis over there, and the city skyline over into the distance. Catch you on the next one.